Hello friends, I'm Kayla. Thank you for coming back to my channel. Something that I say all the time is I would rather read a book, go into it knowing it's probably going to be a 1-star or 5-star than going into a book expecting it to be a 3. So today we're going to put that to the test. Taking a look at my bookshelves, pretty much everything on here, I would say I go into expecting it to be a 3 out of 5. There's not many things that I would own thinking I'm probably gonna hate it. It's probably gonna be a 1. Or, oh, this is gonna be my new favorite book of all time. I rarely go into books thinking that. But I have created a little TBR of books that I think I'm gonna hate or love. And it's for different reasons for each one of them. It might be all the reviews that I've seen seem to be very high or very low. Or it's my history with the author. I've given them 1 really low rating, 1 really high rating. It might be the subject matter. It might be based on similar books that I've read before. And so what I'm reading in this vlog are these 5 books. Number 1 is Evocation by S.T. Gibson. Number 2 is My Husband by Maud Ventura. Number 3, Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Number 4, Lapvona by Ottessa Moshfegh. And finally, Lucy Undying, a Dracula novel by Kiersten White. All of those I look at and think, I'm gonna hate it or love it. It's not gonna be a middle ground. It's gonna be my new favorite, or it's gonna be something I can't stand. So basically, if anything ends up being a 3-star by the end, I will consider myself a failure as far as predicting my own ratings. Let us begin with Evocation. Want to be in my vlog or what?
Oh, sure.
Hey! I have made such a conscious effort, I just want to say, in the last year to not wear black outside of the house, because like that used to be all that I wore outside of the house. Oh, yeah. And then I would wear all of my like cute colorful clothes in vlogs, and I just think that that's a real growth moment for me. Here's my first read. You want to hold it up and read it to them? Oh my god. I told you someone was going to pull up right away. Okay, tell them the name of the book.
I think it says Evocation.
Yeah. By
St. Gibson?
S.T. Gibson?
St. Gibson.
Yeah. So the reason I picked this is
by
because
an angel.
I've given S.T. Gibson 2 stars before and 4.5 stars before. I loved A Dowry of Blood, and because of that, I picked up another thing by her, and then I really didn't like it. So now this one worries me. Another reason that I feel conflicted, you're so good at this, I just chill, is because people have compared this to the Raven Cycle. I originally saw my friend Steph say that, and that's what intrigued me. And now on Goodreads, if you search Raven Boys or Raven Cycle, so many people mention that in their reviews. And that actually is a reason that I don't like a lot of books, is because you compare it to the Raven Cycle, which is my favorite series of all time, and it doesn't live up to it. I guess it's like
trying to compare a normal book to perfection is very, very sad and impossible to keep up.
I've been making...
The devil knows your name, David. Wait, we need the name. The devil knows your name, David Aristarco? Oh, Kov. Okay. Aristakov. David Aristakov.
What's the guy's name? Oh,
Archuleta? David Archuleta?
We're both thinking of 2 different Davids. Yeah. I've been making an effort to read like the first 100 pages of a book instead of reading the synopsis, and then I just tell them what I gleaned from the first 100 pages.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do that while we're at hockey tryouts. Liam made it to the 3rd tryout. So did everybody else. I would just like to go on record and say that I selected this one first because I was sure it was the one that I was going to kick off the video liking, and then maybe the rest of them could go to shit. But I'm not liking this book, and I'm already 2/3 of the way through it. I listened to the first maybe like 40 pages. The audiobook is not for me. Don't like it. It's only from 1 narrator, but we're following 2 men and a woman. And I was already like getting them mixed up, and then I don't really like the voice that he's using for Moira. And then I read the next 160 pages physically. So that's where we're currently at. This is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It has a little bookmark in it, a ribbon, and it's so pretty. And like this just isn't gonna get 4 or 5 stars, so it's not gonna end up on my bookshelves, which is just a bummer. At first, it was reminding me too much of the Raven Boys, Like everything, every word that was being used, I was like, this is too much The Raven Boys. And I know that it's me, and it's not like, it's not too similar to The Raven Boys. It's just that maybe I don't read enough stuff that's about the paranormal and scrying and stuff, because it talked about scrying and I was like, oh my god, The Raven Boys. And then her name is Moira, kind of like Mora from The Raven Boys. They were speaking Latin, they were talking about Welsh things. There was tarot cards, the Three of Cups came up, and I was like, Raven Boys, Raven Boys, Raven Boys. Obviously there's a love triangle like the Raven Boys. Even when he said chinos, I was like, I swear I've never read another book that talks about characters wearing chinos, but I get that it's just a me thing. So as I read on, it became very unlike the Raven cycle. So in here, there is this society. One of our characters is going to become the successor and be like in charge of things and be very important. And him and another guy have a history together, a relationship. And one of them is married to this woman, Moira. The men are Reese and David. They have kind of different types of magic. They do things differently, and that's interesting to learn about. So while there already is a marriage and an established relationship, the two men coming back together after a certain amount of time are realizing they have feelings for each other, and Moira is helping them like figure that out. To me, she seems so much more like a motherly figure, and maybe that's just her like perfection coming through. She's just so soft and sweet, and she wants the best for everybody, and she's like, you guys need to be together, and then realizes she also has feelings for the other man and that they could all just kind of be together. But that's not quite communicated yet. It's like they all discover at different speeds the idea of engaging in this polyamorous relationship. And outside of the relationship, there's all of this magical stuff happening. There are mediums, there's this like secret society, there's demon possession, there are difficult things that they have to deal with, grapple with. But to me, it's just one, doing too much for a single book. Things are happening way too quickly. I want to appreciate the softness. I want to appreciate that they're all just like gonna end up happy together and like supportive of each other, and it's like a cozier fantasy than I was expecting. And I feel like I felt that way about the last S.T. Gibson, the one that I didn't like, that it wasn't as like dark and intense and like beautiful writing that I remember from the first thing that I read. I see how the writing is wanting it to feel romantic, but to me, it's just not coming across that way. It just feels very lusty. There is an explanation between connections that I also feel, I don't know if I love, and I don't know if it's fair of me to say, but I'll come back to this thought in a second. There was a moment like too early, like 100 pages into my experience with these characters, the guy is like, do you love him? Like, do you love the other guy? And it's like, what? To me, they've barely engaged, and that just doesn't seem like the right conversation. I feel like the question is, do you want to sleep with him? Like, are you attracted to him? It's like, do you love him? Like, what do you mean? And then again, right at like page 200, where I paused to update you, he is saying like, oh, I'm in love with Moira. Basically I can't live without her. Like, she's everything. I'm obsessed. And I just don't buy it. I don't see it. I think it's too early. I think everything's happening too fast. Considering this like whole thing could fuck up an entire marriage, it feels way too cavalier. It feels like everybody beforehand already agreed to this polyamorous situation with the way that they're engaging with conversations with each other. Because like, from everybody's perspective, like this could ruin relationships with the other person, but they're just doing it so casually. And then also David being in the secret society and being this prodigy, we barely get him like becoming a part of the society. And at this point he's like, I was so exhausted with my society work. And I was like, what society work? I feel like we have gotten none of it. Coming back to the dynamic that I'm feeling, I don't know if I can wrap my mind around. I can wrap my mind around it, but maybe I can't put my finger on exactly why I'm feeling weird about it. But it's like these two men are just allowed to want to be together and that's enough. Like, they're just like, oh, I want to be with this woman and with this man, and like that's just okay, and they can follow their dreams and their heart. But with Moira, there's like a reason why she's attracted to the man who's not her husband, and there has to be a reason behind it. It's like a special connection. It's something that she can't control. It's not just emotional. It's like there's actually something drawing her to him, and you can't deny like the actual like physical spiritual thing that's occurring that's connecting them. And I don't like that. I want her to just be able to want someone too. Like, why can't the book just let everybody feel things rather than there has to be a reason behind it? It's kind of like if you watch The Vampire Diaries, Elena, when you learned that she was, I don't know if this is spoilers, you learned that she's like sired. There's a lot more to it, but she's sired to one of the brothers. So like there's a reason behind the reason that they're together and they're so perfect for each other. And that was annoying. I remember as a viewer, I was like, why can't she just like him? Like, it's just, the woman has to have a deeper reason to be with someone than just her own desire. Anyway, it's kind of late. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this and I'll update you in the morning on my final rating. Good morning, my friends. I finished Evocation and unfortunately, I'm gonna give it a 2. No one is more sad than me. One thing that I regularly say in my list of preferences is I don't love stories that start with established relationships if the relationship is something that we're supposed to care about and root for and is a significant portion of the plot. I just like to be there at the beginning, and I'm only getting to witness one of the 3 relationships happening for the first time, because 2 of them are already well established when the book begins. These people are already together or have been together and they're just coming back together. Second chance romance is one of my least favorite tropes. With that said, there are some books that I end up loving that do still have that thing. So it was possible that I could love this one. It had a lot of good elements, promising things that made me think I could love it, but it just didn't work out. I think all the characters were fine. I liked all of them. There was nobody who I was not enjoying reading from, but the relationships weren't for me. And I think all of these characters deserve soft, loving relationships, but I do think it leaned a little too like nice and soft for me. There definitely was not enough time spent on tension and wanting because the book is so short and it is the first part in a series. So I would expect it to take multiple books for everyone to really realize their feelings and for a lot of things to go down. Objectively, the relationship is great. I think people will really appreciate the polyamory representation because there was like so many conversations about boundaries, emotions, how everyone's feeling. For that, I think a lot of people will like this. The character, like, this is a type of story people need. They did go through some hardships in the book for sure. I don't actually love how addiction was necessarily talked about, but I also don't necessarily think that that's a flaw of the book. And I think the biggest thing for this book, if you're gonna like it or not, is if you feel the chemistry. And I just didn't, but I see how other people could. I am a little bit in pain with how much I paid for this, but it's a nice memory because I bought it on a trip that we took. I won't be continuing in the series, but I think I'll watch people's vlogs about it in the future to see what goes down with all of these characters. I don't know what I'm gonna move on to next, but you'll see in just a second. My Husband by Maud Ventura is on my list of something that I think I'll hate or love for the same reason. And it's just the sheer amount of people recommending this to me and telling me that I'm gonna love it. I am so grateful to have been on this here internet talking about books for 10 years, and people get so in tune with what I like, and people take the time to recommend me things, which is just so crazy. I'm so grateful for it. And a lot of times people recommend me things that I've never heard of and they go so well. And then sometimes I just feel like lost. Like occasionally there will be this book that everyone recommends to me. They're like, everyone who you agree with books on loves this too. This is totally up your alley. And then I hate it. And I'm like, I feel like I'm starting all over. This is one of those for me that is making me apprehensive. Like, I want to be understood. I want to be recommended a great book. But also, like, so many people are adamant that not only should I read it, but that I'm gonna like it. Like, I'm gonna like it so much that I feel like I'm not going to. But on the flip side, so many people recommending me something makes me feel like, of course I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be my thing. This is about obsession. I love books about obsession. However, I'm going to show you all the books about obsession I love. A woman's obsessed with solving a crime. A woman's obsessed with eating eyeballs. A woman's obsessed with horror movies. This man is obsessed with proving his best friend is a supernatural entity. This couple is obsessed with this house that has appeared underwater. This woman is obsessed with finding these birds and will do anything to find them. This woman is obsessed with finding this book of sex magic and she'll do anything to get it. This character is obsessed with consuming blood because it's a vampire. This character is obsessed with becoming a mermaid. These characters are obsessed with not thinking about this killer because if you think about her, she'll kill you. I don't know if it's blatantly obvious to you, but to me, something that's very different about this is it's about obsession for a person. I don't really like obsession about people. In fact, a lot of my least favorite mystery and thriller books are that trope of a woman becoming obsessed with another woman and like trying to steal her life and steal her husband and steal her family. That's not what this is, I don't think. But I just scrolled through like all of my 5 stars and I can't find a single book that I've ever read where it's about a person being obsessed with another person. This could really be the moment that happens for me though. I read the first couple chapters. The character voice, it's reminding me of things like Death in Her Hands and Comfort Me with Apples and The Echo Wife and We Spread. Just the inner ramblings of a woman, stream of conscious, just like I think of just all of her thoughts, everything that she's thinking all the time. She's looking at her husband. She loves him so much. He's so perfect. And she's just obsessed with life and routine and having everything organized and just like being the perfect like partner. Now, 2 of these do have to do with partnerships. They have to do with a husband and the things that he's done, but they're not an obsession like with him. And there's also like things to learn and speculative things afoot. This I believe is just contemporary. I'm hoping that there's like a reveal or something, a twist. I think I've seen people actually say the epilogue is wild. So I'll make sure I read that on camera. The first couple chapters like didn't do anything for me, but I don't find an issue with the writing style. This is translated by Emma Ramadan. For 40 years, this woman has had the perfect life, successful career, stunning looks, a beautiful house, 2 healthy children, most importantly, an ideal husband. But she's never quite sure her passion is reciprocated. This is a fast read because the chapters are very short and there's a lot of space. So I don't know, give me like maybe an hour and I will update you with something. I'm picking sweet baby Liam up from school because we have to head into the city and get a new hockey stick because this happened. Apparently he thought he would just fix it. And then I have to go buy him a new suit because the one we bought him last year for hockey doesn't fit anymore. So I think we're moving from the sink to the tracer, really thrilling. And we're moving from a black suit to maybe something brown. Might we go gray? It's an exciting day here, folks. And I am gonna finish the last 40 pages of My Husband while I wait for him to get out of school. So far, our protagonist, who I think she's unnamed. Oh God, if we have gotten a name for her and I just don't know it, that's embarrassing. I just don't remember. I think she's unnamed. I was gonna say I can relate to her. I feel like there was one passage where I related to what she was saying, where her life is just very like constructed and very thought out. Everything's very intentional. And she's talking about the type of job she has and what she wants to do. And she works in translation and how she doesn't like to be creative on her own. She doesn't like to come up with things. She doesn't like having to start things. What she likes is taking someone else's stuff and like reorganizing it or changing it or altering it to make it like perfect. And that I think is a big metaphor for the book in general and how she builds out her life, or at least how we're understanding her life. She has these children, but we never hear about them. They're just always whispering in the corner. They're very quiet. They're very demure. And everything is just like chill and perfect in her life by design. But she becomes obsessed with the fact that maybe her husband doesn't love her. And the way I absolutely cannot relate to her is I think what this book is doing is it's like an over-exaggerated version of, you know, like a typical husband and wife story that you hear. But like when I don't know, I scroll on TikTok sometimes and I see women talking about how their partner didn't like pick up on all their little clues and how in my mind, it's like there's this lack of communication. And so people, not wives, not women, like people in general will do these little things to like prove that their partner loves them or test their partner, and then in turn kind of punish their partner, but never like communicating it. Like, I know I've seen some people who go like, I'm gonna not do any, like, this is fair because like people should be, you know, sharing in the household cleaning and stuff, but things like, I'm going to withhold sex, or I'm going to withhold cleaning until my husband buys me flowers, but I'm not going to tell him that, or until he cleans up after himself, but I'm not going to tell him. I'm just going to start leaving his stuff everywhere and not doing his laundry, and we're going to like film him and see how long it takes him to notice. Stuff like that is something to witness. And I think that this book is like taking that idea, but she's just so focused on it, and so like, I'm going to not say I love you if he didn't say goodbye when he left in the morning. I'm not going to do this if he doesn't do this, but not in a way that feels like reasonable things at all. And she's just spiraling because she's jumped to this conclusion that he is like going to leave her. He's going to divorce her based on like something small and insignificant to somebody else. It's like he's putting on a certain song, or he leaves the shower temperature at a certain level, and she thinks that that's a subliminal message to her to let her know something. So that's really all this book is her thoughts. We got a little bit of plot like 2/3 of the way in. She is now like actively doing something rather than just having constant thoughts. I thought it was a take on obsession and paranoia, but I'm now also thinking maybe it's supposed to be a take on addiction. She's like addicted to her husband, or addicted to the feeling that her husband gives her. And I feel like the way that I'm speaking about it sounds like I like it. I don't really like this. But these final 40 pages, depending on what's about to happen, it could move it from a 2 to a 3. So there's that. Reading this kind of feels like watching performance art. Is that the right phrase? Like somebody who's just like doing something weird, and clearly they have a goal behind it, but you don't know if you're really gleaning the point. But some people can appreciate like the beauty of what's going on. I don't like it because I don't really care. There's not a plot. And I like being in someone's mind, but there needs to be like something actually going on as well. Like Come For Me With Apples has an actual like thing revealed. Death in Her Hands, there's a plot. Like there's something that she is trying to figure out. In this, it just seems like nothing's going on, and it's just like all in her mind, which is something I can understand some people enjoying, but not if they didn't like the other two.
Walking around with nothing in my mind. No phone calls in reality, never to find. So look, I don't need your acceptance, I don't need your love. Yeah, I got caverns in my head, I'm lost in the darkness, wait, then show me the sun. Show me the big bright star. Show me the sun. Watch it burn me down. Then show me the sun. Show me the big bright star. Show me the sun.
Okay. That was stupid. I don't just mean the ending. I mean like the whole book. It's just, I don't really get the appeal. I don't know. I think I'm gonna give this a 2 still. That epilogue, I wanted something more interesting, but also I can't explain why because it would spoil it, but I think it was a failure in a certain way. It's one of those books that people who hate it and people who love it are still going to describe it the same way. Like you're following an insufferable main character. It's exhausting what's going on. It's obviously very toxic. And it's either like you're enjoying that and you can like that. That doesn't mean you like toxicity or you like the character. You agree, probably if you love this, with people who don't like it. It's just a style preference. I do like books that are similar to this, but this one in particular just didn't do it for me. 2 hours truly felt like 6. Definitely would have DNF'd it if I wasn't reading it for a video and I wasn't like hoping that the epilogue would do something weird. Like I was thinking this was gonna be weird. Like we were gonna find out, I don't know, that these weren't even humans and we were like in the minds of fish. And like, I don't know, I was so bored I was coming up with the craziest theories. Anyway, that's all for me today. Just kidding. I'm gonna read a whole nother book today. This is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This I'm reading for the opposite reason of my husband, is nobody thinks I'm gonna like this. In fact, I'm gonna put up a series of polls and have people on Instagram vote for all of these books, and they're gonna say if they think I'm gonna love it or hate it. Magnolia Parks, I just feel like I wanna read because this is one that it's purely based on the ratings is the reason I think I'm gonna hate or love this. Yes, it's people's like influence in saying what they think I'm gonna think, but this has gotten so many 1 stars from my friends. I've seen it in my Goodreads feed so many times. 1 star, I can't believe people are recommending this. I can't believe people love this. This is horrible. And then an equal amount of people 5 stars being like, this is it, like this is my perfect book. And I just think there are a lot of romance books that I don't align with the popular opinion everyone is so in love with, and I end up hating them. This one has mixed results, so maybe there's a chance. And also, I think it's not like, maybe I'm wrong, but based on the cover, I guess when it first came out, I thought it wasn't romance first. I figured there was a relationship at the forefront, but it was gonna be kind of like, I don't know, like normal people, where there is a romance. There's things to root for, but it's more just the back and forth between these 2 characters that you care about. Maybe I'm wrong. I also have never read the synopsis. Magnolia Parks is a beautiful, affluent, self-involved, and mildly neurotic London socialite. Okay. BJ Ballantyne is Britain's most notorious and photographed bad boy who broke her heart. But these 2 are meant to be, and everyone knows it. I think I picked like a second chance romance, and I just said I don't really like second chance romance. But there is an exception to every rule. After years, their dysfunction is catching up with them. Like, that sounds interesting. I'll read some of this, and I'll update you probably late tonight. Hopefully I have my glasses on and I remember. Oh, hello! I thought I would show you a suit. Oh, wow. Are those pants? Yes, they are. What's that? A jacket? You're right. What's that? One of 3 shirts that we got because we couldn't decide. Oh my god, amazing. Amazing. Where's the hockey stick? Oh, Liam's sleeping with it currently. Can't show you that, but they had exactly what he wanted and everything worked out. Hooray. I'm 1/3 of the way through Magnolia Parks. I think I can safely say I understand the dislike for this and I understand the like for this. It's definitely reminding me of Gossip Girl. It's like Gossip Girl Skins Euphoria vibes. It is set in England and these people are rich and like somewhat socially famous. What other kind of fame is there? I just mean they're known for being from the families that they are. So everywhere they go, like everybody kind of knows who they are. Everyone knows about their relationship. Everyone talks about their relationship. They have not been together, Magnolia and BJ, in years, but they're still best friends. And it's like they know that they're gonna end up together, but they don't necessarily want to be because they know they're not good for each other. It feels like watching Gossip Girl and how some people are very much Chuck and Blair. Oh my god, Chuck and Blair have like the chemistry. I can't stop watching them. So entertaining. And then other people are like, no, they're actually really toxic and bad for each other, and what's wrong with you? And don't you remember Chuck sexually assaulted a minor in the first episode? BJ is not that bad. He broke up this relationship, him and Magnolia. It imploded. He is to blame. They're not good for each other. But at the same time, they're so entertaining. I am wildly entertained. I'm having a good time. In real life, would any of this fly? Absolutely not. But do I have to enjoy the relationship dynamics to have a good time with a book? No, thankfully. So far, it's been 140 pages of them just going back and forth with like, do they want to be together? Probably not. Okay, I'm gonna go sleep with this person. I'm gonna go date this person. But oh my god, you're sleeping with that person. You're dating that person. I'm gonna be mad at you even though I'm doing the same thing over here. Even though we're not actually together. Even though we're still sleeping in the same bed every night because we're best friends. I just finished at a scene. I'm also listening to the audiobook at this point, which we'll talk about in a second, that felt like the 3rd act conflict in so many like toxic romance books where the couple falls apart, and the guy just goes on like a bender. He starts spiraling, he messes up, and now he has to grovel and be forgiven. But like, that's the whole book, I think. We're also getting a little bit of fake dating because Magnolia wants to make BJ jealous. And there's this guy named Tom England who is like this other super famous, well-known person. And he just shows up and he's like, I see you guys arguing in the club. I'll be your boyfriend. And now him and Magnolia have this little thing, and BJ's pissed. I am living for the drama. Also, this book, I just want to note, mentioned chinos. So chinos are everywhere. And I feel like it's also not taking itself too seriously. It's not a dark romance in the way that's like really heavy and really intense and we're really sad as the reader. Like, it's funny. Magnolia just said, well, I'm not going to deliver it well, but she was like, I'm level 5 angry at him right now, and there's only 5 levels. And I was like, this is reminding me a little bit of Georgia Nicholson, but obviously aged up. So I read the first, I don't know, like 40 pages physically, and then I realized I have, let me check, 17 hours on Spotify until my time refreshes, like for the next month of free audiobooks with my, it's not free, but it's included with my premium. You get 15 hours. And I hadn't listened to all of mine. So I was like, okay, I'll start this, and I have like 3 hours left, and then it refreshes tomorrow and I can start over and do the next like couple hours. But now I regret it because I like the audiobook so much more than reading it myself. And now I'm out of hours. And so I have to wait 14 hours to continue this book. I could continue it physically right now, but I don't want to. Like, my experience, I think, is good because of the audiobook. The British accents are really putting me in the right place. And I think the humor is landing properly because of everything. I now have to pause a book that I'm really enjoying until tomorrow night. So I'm still gonna put this in order, so you're gonna see me pop in tomorrow night. But in this actual moment, I'm gonna move on to Lapvona, and you'll see that one next. But I also don't have the physical book for that one because it hasn't come into the library yet, but I need to finish this video in like the next 2 days. I'm going to listen to Lapvona, which I have out from the library. I don't think it feels like a 5, but like could it be a 5? Okay, let's check and see. I think my Spotify listening time should have reset now. Okay, it says less than 1 hour until listening hours renew. Okay, so I'm waiting a little bit more. And the poll, 87% of people said that I'm gonna hate this. Maybe you're right, I don't know, because I'm only 35% of the way through. Evocation, I just posted the poll, so Evocation was perfectly mixed, as I thought. Most people said I was gonna love my husband, but I guess I'll see you in a little bit once I read. Let's do like another 30% of Magnolia Parks and see where I'm sitting. It could flop for me, it could go, I don't know, I kind of like the writing, and like, it's not cringy, and I find a lot of romance is cringy. The dynamic is at least interesting, and that's what I need. If this is my 5, and it's like in a vlog full of weird books, and this is my 5, oh my god.
Alright, we're all alright. We're okay. Then show me the sun.
Apologies for looking like absolute crap. Liam just made the hockey team, and we had a celebratory jog home. But now I'm going to listen to the last 30% of the audiobook, and I just needed to update you quickly before I do that and get into it. I like it. I like it just as much as I was liking it before. I'm gonna compare it to Gossip Girl, and I feel like other people probably have compared it to Gossip Girl. It's not like Gossip Girl as far as plot. Like, there isn't somebody secretly like posting things about these socialites online and trying to figure out who that is, and then all of the like outside drama. It's not that. It's like just this one relationship, but also we visit relationships with their parents and side characters. There's a lot of tense dynamics with like fathers, and there's like infidelity, and there's friendships, and like other people, like the fake dating thing with Magnolia has become more of a thing, and there's like a little issue over there, and BJ has his own stuff going on. And they acknowledge that this relationship is toxic. They acknowledge that they were together at such a young age, like 15, that because they were each other's first, like there will always be something special there, but maybe it's not a good thing that they have these feelings. but they just can't help but know each other so well. There's just like this beautiful underlying feeling of like constantly each of them knowing exactly what the other person is thinking or what they want, or when they behave a certain way, they know the exact reason why. And just to be known like that is a really special thing, and getting to witness it is I just really like this book, even though I don't know how to, I don't feel like I've ever read a romance quite like this, because it's not like a rom-com, but it's not this really, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a dark toxic romance, but like it kind of is. But it's also a little more messy and silly feeling than just like an epic like love story would be. So it's confusing how to really pitch it to other people. I guess the reason it doesn't feel super toxic is because they're not together. Everything that they're doing is perfectly reasonable. However, they both want to be together. And so it doesn't feel like their actions mirror that, because they're not willing to, especially BJ is not willing to give up the lifestyle that he's created and he's chasing for whatever internal reasons that he has for Magnolia. And Magnolia just wants him to give himself completely to her. And it seems like as soon as Magnolia is willing to do that, BJ will give up everything. But it's just the timing of it all, and she can't really trust him, and every time she thinks they're on a good path, he's suddenly off doing something stupid. I have good news and bad news. I really, really liked this, but it wasn't a 5-star. It was so close, and part of me just wants to call it a 5-star, but it's not. It's a 4.5. It's a 4.5 though. I got a 4.5 romance. It hasn't happened in a while. It has not broken my 20-month drought of finding a 5-star adult contemporary romance, which is a crazy number. I mean, is it really, considering I haven't read that much romance? I don't read that much romance. And it might seem silly to distinguish between a 4.5 and a 5, but like a 4.5 and a 5 are very different to me. There's only been a few of these, and this is not joining the ranks, mostly because of the ending. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. I knew this was a series, but sorry, I just got that out of your eye for you. Wasn't expecting it to end the way it did. There was like a reveal also that I was expecting, and I don't see how you couldn't. If that was a surprise, like I could have liked it more for sure. But regardless, the impact was still there. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. I am a girl who can love a stupid, overdramatic, silly little book. And I love that, because sometimes I pick up books and they are that, and then I hate them. And I'm like, do I like this thing? I do just want to like read something like mindless and ridiculous and over the top. And these characters are realistic in their intensity, I think. And it really depicts like the early 20s. Your first love can be very all-consuming, but also these people just don't exist. Like, this is just so extreme, the way they're reacting to each other. It's just very dramatic, very soap opera, and they're superficial, and they're constantly making mistakes, and they're talking about all the clothes that they're wearing and the fashion. They care about stupid shit, and I just ate it up. Call me toxic, but I just loved the possessiveness of BJ and how he could not get his shit together enough to be the right person for Magnolia, but he was never gonna let someone else ever hurt her. What could have made it a 5? I mean, the ending a little bit. Oh, I am going to continue the series. I just bought the pretty cover of this, because what is this? Why would they ever do this? And I stopped myself from annotating so I could buy that one, tab it all up, reread it. And then I bought the second and the third one, because the second one is about a character that's in here, but the third one, I guess, is the continuation of Magnolia and BJ's story, which I desperately need. So those are all on their way to me. I think what could have made this a 5 is also like if there were some big events to go to. You know, in Gossip Girl, there's like all of these balls. There's these, every episode it's like leading to something. They have to go to this event. I could have done with a little more of that. They did go to like clubs and they were jet setting a little bit, but I wanted it to build to certain events, because then you could have big climactic moments when all these characters came together. This plot would have not worked for me if not for the characters. The characters and their just emotions. That's all we were trudging through. It wasn't plot. It was just their feelings for hundreds of pages. I was never bored. I love their love for each other. and also just their destructive nature. I'm just very pleased with these results. If this is the best thing that comes out of this video, then fine. That's fine with me. I'll see you later. Okay, so in your timeline, I've already finished Magnolia Parks. Now I'm moving on to Lapvona. In my timeline, I am pausing a book I'm really liking until I have access to the audiobook tomorrow, and I'm reading Lapvona, which I don't have physically. I ordered it from the library. It says it's on, what am I doing? In transit, but it's said that for days now. So I don't know how long it's gonna take, but I'm gonna check out the audiobook in case it's good, like why not? And the reason that this is on my list is I've read Death in Her Hands by this author, and I've honestly just put off everything else. Like I have Eileen, I don't have it. I've been thinking about reading another thing from her. Actually, do I have a short story collection from her? Yeah, Homesick for Another World. I have things, but I fear that I'm not gonna love anything the way that I love Death in Her Hands because it was such a unique experience and like everybody else hates it. So I keep thinking maybe that was a really once in a lifetime experience and everything else from the author I'm not going to enjoy because all of her stuff is also so different. But the reason I went with Lapvona is because it seems like it's the weirdest. It's the most jarring. I've heard people say like, this was disgusting. I can't believe I read that. Like I've never read such a nasty book. And I guess that's what I want to go for because that seems like the most likely thing I will either really be on board for because I've seen people give it 5 stars, or I will agree with the masses that like, ew, no. All I know is there's like a dead sheep on the cover, and I think it's about sheep farmers, question mark? In a village in a medieval fiefdom buffeted by natural disasters, a motherless shepherd boy finds himself the unlikely pivot of a power struggle that puts all manner of faith to a savage test. What does that mean? We're following Merrick, an abused and delusional son of a village shepherd, never knew his mother. His father told him she died in childbirth. Merrick has this connection with a blind village midwife who suckled him as a baby. Ina's gifts extend beyond childcare. She possesses a unique ability to communicate with the natural world. Her gift often brings her the transmission of sacred knowledge of levels far beyond those available to other villagers. Okay, whatever. Let's just start listening and I'll update you before I go to bed with my first impressions.
Show me the big bright star. Show me the sun. Watch it burn me.
I've made it 25% of the way through and I'm going to sleep. We've already had a murder, some disgusting body horror descriptions, abuse, and a 14-year-old boy nursing from an elderly woman with her body very much described. And then also sexual imagery within that. There's this idea that this young boy just needs like love and care, and so this woman in the village is offering that because she's done it for everybody else who lives there, but it was obviously uncomfortable, and then it got more uncomfortable and I don't want to read anymore right now, so see you soon. I did not mean to finish this as quickly as I did, but I just wanted to get it over with. So I listened to the audiobook for a bit last night, and then I picked it up early this morning from the library, and I literally sat in the library parking lot and just read the last like 70 pages. I turned on the camera to get my reaction. There was literally like nothing going on, and then also my camera apparently wasn't on. I don't know what that was about. It didn't matter because I didn't miss out on anything. I don't understand this book. Like I don't understand the point of it. It felt like watching an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Like imagine watching an M. Night Shyamalan and his history of work and expecting like a twist ending, and then like imagine watching The Village and then it just ends and you don't actually get like the explanation. That's what this felt like. I felt like I was waiting to understand some grander message and there was just nothing there. I can't say it's not what I expected because I didn't even know what the plot was going in, but it's not what I expected as far as, I don't know, like intensity or brutal like graphic things. There definitely was that, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the main focus. I guess I expected the focus to be like, oh my God, look at this gruesome thing, turn around, there's this nasty thing, there's this disgusting scene, like all of this shock value. And I don't think that's what it was. There was sexual content that was uncomfortable. There was depictions of violence that was uncomfortable. It's just not the vibe that I thought it was. It was very religious. It was a religiously focused story. And I'm sure there's a lot of metaphor in here that I'm not even grasping. Maybe if I read through some reviews. The only review I remember reading before this was someone saying that the grape scene will forever haunt them. And I remember taking that and thinking, okay, I need to prepare myself for like a really graphic sexual assault scene, because we're using like the type of language to get through, you know, restrictions on social media of saying certain words. But no, there's a literal grape scene, like a grape. And now I understand. Unfortunately, I took no notes reading this. I really don't know what to say about it. There's the young boy and he does something horrific and he goes to live with someone else, and people just talk a lot and do a lot of things and eat their own pubes. And see, Death in Her Hands is so highly rated by me, and I talk it up all the time and don't understand why people like it, but it also doesn't have a point. But the point is the writing. The point is the unique way that it's written and structured and the things that I think that it's saying. And maybe I could appreciate this more if I understood what it was saying. Like maybe there's this grander theme that everyone else is grabbing onto, because I just don't see it. As far as the poll, this was the one people were most confident about me loving, and I am giving it a 2. So nothing has been a 1 so far, but yeah, I have had 3 2s. I still in this moment don't know what happened with Magnolia Parks. So the poll, I think, do I think people thought that I would love it? I think people thought I would love it just because it's weird. And everyone talks about how weird and gross it is. And I guess like that's something that's associated with me. I feel like I should be associated with reading weird books. I don't think I should necessarily be associated with loving weird books. Like the actual ones that are gross, I don't typically like Paradise Rot and the Deloriad and whatever else I'm popping up on the screen that people, and like I'll never read Earthlings because people need to stop recommending this to me. The content is not something that I am interested in engaging with. This even had some content with young children that I did not appreciate reading, that I did not know was a part of this. And I know this one wasn't recommended to me. It's just something I picked up on my own. But sometimes when people say I'm gonna love something and then it's stuff like this, I'm like, where have I gone wrong? What am I doing on the internet? But maybe it's just because I loved Another Otessa Moshfegh, so that makes sense for you to vote. Or I enjoyed the Otessa Moshfegh that like everybody else hates, so how would I not love everything else from her? I just do not. Wasn't enjoying it. I thought it was uninteresting. I thought it was gross. But then it also didn't go as like far as I thought. Not that I wanted it to, but in every aspect, this was not what I was expecting. I wish I had a more coherent review for you. I wish I could talk about some thematic things, but I'm glad I didn't buy it. That's all I know. Okay, I just filmed my intro for this vlog because I forgot to do that before it started. And I said in it that if anything ends up being a 3-star, I consider myself a failure. That's what I kicked off this video thinking. And this is the last opportunity that could happen, so I really hope it doesn't. But also, I've had 3 duds in this video. So maybe a 3-star like wouldn't be that bad. Obviously, I would much prefer a 5, but we'll see. Vampire stories are really hit or miss. More hit than not. The reason that I predict this to be a 1 or a 5 is because of my history with this author before. I have given her a 1. Was it a 1 or was it a 2? Maybe it was a 2 for Hyde, and then a 4.5 for The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. And this is the one that was completely split in the poll votes. So that actually makes me think if I ever do this video again, I'm gonna put up like 20 different options in my Instagram stories, and whichever are the 4 or 5 most even, that's what I'll do next time. Because this one was my predictions for good or bad, but next time I could do your predictions. I think it's an interesting concept for it to be audience decided. And so this would have been one of the ones that I picked for sure because you are split as well as me. This was definitely an anticipated read from me this year. I didn't want to pick it for the book club because I think it's a little more fantasy than horror in my mind. It does say gothic fantasy in here, but I also think it was in the horror on the horror shelf? I'm not sure. Her name was written in the pages of someone else's story. Lucy Westenra was one of Dracula's first victims. I think you need to have like some base knowledge more than just that going into this to fully appreciate it, I think. But her death was only the beginning. Lucy rose from the grave a vampire and has spent her immortal life trying to escape from Dracula's clutches and trying to discover who she really is and what she truly wants. Also, a reason that this is, I think, could be not great for me is because I've read specific like Lucy inspired stories before and they weren't my favorite. Her undead life takes an unexpected turn in 21st century London when she meets another woman, Iris, who's also yearning to break free from her past. A reason this could be a 5, it's queer. Lucy has long believed she would never love again, yet she finds herself compelled by the charming Iris, while Iris is equally mesmerized by the confident and glamorous Lucy. Can she find the strength to destroy Dracula once and for all, or will her heart again be her undoing? I'm going to use the last of my Spotify hours to listen to this while I'm at Liam's first hockey game. We're leaving right now and I'm a little bit worried. When I get home, I'm gonna finish it physically though. The hockey team this year is majority first years. Liam is only a handful of second years. And I don't know that they are, well, they're nowhere near the level that the team was last year, but I don't know because until I see it, until we have our seeding tournament next weekend. But I think we have 2 exhibition games today and tomorrow. It'll give an idea of where they're at compared to other teams, but I just have a feeling they're going to be one of the worst. And that's just because there's a lot of first years on the team. And other teams might be exclusively second years. Like every single city is so different depending on the kids that they have and what the kids are also doing. So like this year, a bunch of the second years made it onto like higher, like AAA teams and stuff. And the kids on it this year, there's a lot, I would say the majority of them have never hit before. And that is a huge component of hockey at this age and at this level. If you don't know anything about hockey, like you have to be a certain age and a certain level to be hitting. And a lot of them, this game today is going to be their first time being hit. And just experiencing like the practices, the tryouts that they've had. They had like one little practice and even just like hitting each other like casually as teammates. It is nerve-wracking to watch as a parent. And I can't imagine how everybody's feeling watching their kids. My kid, people just like kind of bounce off of him. He's pretty sturdy. The only time he's ever hurt himself was when he was hitting someone, not when someone hit him. But we've already had a concussion this year in tryouts. And last year there was a concussion in the first couple games. And I'm worried about all of the first years and how our team is going to look throughout the season. I just think they're going to get like a bit of a rude awakening with how aggressive some of these other teams are going to be based on what I witnessed last year. I'm really ready for Liam to be in U18 next year. That's like 3 years worth of kids all together. And again, there's like a big discrepancy between things, but I feel like U15, there is the largest discrepancy in sizes. Some of these kids are so small and some of them are humongous. We're off to our first game though. And I think I'm gonna predict maybe there'll be 1 goal for us and 5-1. 5-1 is my prediction for when it's over. I'll let you know about this and that when it's all over. So in fact, the game ended at 7-2. So it's gonna be a long season. Liam spent 6 minutes in the penalty box and I got to 170 pages of Lucy Undying. So in here we're following Iris and she is running away from her mother's like legacy of running this MLM cult thing. And I don't think I fully understand her goals and motivations besides just like having her own life. But it seems like there's things that she wants to accomplish that, I don't know, just like the journey she's currently on doesn't fully make sense to me yet, but I don't know. So she is going to this house and she's trying to find like antiques and stuff that she can sell and make some money on her own. And while she's there, she finds the diary of a woman from 1890 named Lucy, the journal of Lucy Westenra. And so we're getting journal entries from her and it's describing her life, and it's like kind of like just reading Dracula but through journal entries. So it's reiterating things that we know, but in her own tone of voice, and then somebody else reading them and interpreting them and going, oh, that must have been so hard for her. And just really getting enamored by the story that is being told. We're also getting transcripts from Lucy and her therapist, current day. And then also current day is Iris's chapters, and she just met a woman named Elle, and they're falling for each other. They're just like exploring life together and getting to know each other. Oh, I'm bored. I also don't know, like the gothic vibes are good. The descriptions are fine. I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe I've convinced myself that I like historical figures or literary figures in modern day. But in fact, can I think of many examples where I've actually enjoyed that? Maybe just because it makes it feel like gimmicky, because it's never just modern day. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, yeah, it's modern day. And obviously they need to do scene setting, but I always just feel like it's in the cheesiest scenarios. Like, of course, her mother ran an MLM cult. Like, it's just the most extreme version of reality, like the most extreme characters, like caricatures almost. Actually, it reminds me a lot of the V. Castro I read earlier this year and gave 1 star. Again, with like the extreme version of like current day vampires, just feeling a little bit like, I guess realistic, but like just too silly for me to like. And it's definitely distancing me a little bit from it. So I don't know. I'm gonna read some more, hopefully a good chunk before I go to bed, and then the rest in the morning, and then we have more hockey. I woke up very early to make sure that I finished this book before we head out for the day. I'm 100 pages from the end. I appreciate the goal of the book and how it's about healing. These are women who have had their lives stripped from them. Obviously we have the figure of Lucy, but we also have like a real modern woman, and they're both existing in modern day, but they've had very different experiences. But what they share is being taken advantage of, and Iris's past being revealed with her mother's company. Very dark things have happened to her. Lucy's therapy sessions are she's very well adjusted, I guess. And I just think it's it just feels like exactly the type of story anybody would write. When, I don't know if that makes sense, but when you think about it's like the prompt, like what would Lucy be like if she was living in current day? Like and you would say things like, well, I hope she gets to have like a love of her life that she chooses. And I hope that she goes to therapy because she has experienced trauma. And so like, everything is a good for her type of energy. And now Dracula's also been introduced as a portion of the story. Those chapters are written in second person, which I very much like. And we're just going to get this retribution moment for these 2 women. It's just a very like expected, nice kind of story. Right now, I just think it's good. I think it's fine. I don't know if anything's going to be like revealed in the last 100 pages or if there's something that's going to really make it incredible. But I do feel like it could have been 100 pages less. Kind of an anticlimactic ending to the vlog because I don't really have much to say about this. I didn't say already. I am going to give it a 3. So I am a failure. I did not accurately predict my thoughts about this one. And I shouldn't have expected much different because like Kirsten White can be trusted with building a story that makes you feel good. It just depends if you like the style along the way. And this one, I kind of did. I liked it enough to finish it. It went in all the directions that you expect it to. There were some reveals at the end, but because it's a vampire novel, they're all expected. And I don't know that it was trying to pull off anything shocking, but like that's what I want from a gothic horror fantasy. This is something I could easily recommend though. There's nothing too wild in it that I think will turn people off. So I don't predict many people will give it a really low rating. But I also like, do I think this is going to be a million people's like absolute favorite vampire book? Maybe not. So that's it for me in this vlog. I got 3 2 stars. So nothing ended up being a 1 star, in fact. A 3 star and a 4.5. So nothing ended up being a 5. So I was completely wrong. My ratings at the end of the day are obviously going to be really unexpected to you. So I hope you enjoyed the journey along the way, and I'll see you in another vlog soon. Bye.